Hello everyone, so this video is pretty much about the state of indie games, specifically indie horror games, and why the focus on my channel has moved away from them to whatever the fuck kind of channel I am now. So, I don't know if literally any of my subs I have now, which is admittedly not a lot, were around before my channel had its makeover, but I used to cover indie horror games, specifically. In fact, my banner on my channel page still says gaming, horror, and more. I haven't gotten around to changing that, but anyway. I have an entire playlist here on my channel of nearly 50 videos of just horror game content. And there's a lot of reasons I stopped doing that kind of content, and I think some of the reasons are important because I think some of these are a serious issue within this corner of the gaming industry. I used to love learning about and covering these smaller indie titles because I felt like they were always innovating and doing things differently, because the AAA horror space is kind of dead, with an exception of Resident Evil, but to be fair, Dead Space and Silent Hill did literally just come back, but still. So a couple years back, reality finally set in. These games will look so promising and cool and unique, and then almost never come out. I am not exaggerating in saying that only maybe 3 out of 10 indie horror games that get announced actually come out, and it's fucking infuriating. No cancellation announcement, nope, just silence. For years and years on end, and eventually, you just have to accept that, hey, this game simply isn't coming out. Some of these games I've literally covered for years on end, like Scorn for example. I've made multiple videos on Scorn, which leads me to my next point. A lot of the time when they do come out, they're a huge disappointment. Scorn, for example, was trash, in my opinion, and most people's opinion. It took, what, 5-6 years to come out, and what we got was a complete slap in the face. It had great art direction, but the gameplay was boring and confusing and lacked depth. They promised so much more than this. And the next thing I want to bring up is that the games are targeting a very specific niche at times, which is perfectly fine. But these games take so fucking long to come out that by the time they do, or don't, something else with a far bigger budget comes along and fills that niche better than they ever could. Let me give you some examples. So, for starters, Dead Space. Insanely good horror franchise, one of the best in my opinion, was dormant for almost 10 years, maybe 10 years, I'm not sure. This other game I covered called Negative Atmosphere, 4 years ago, was supposed to fill the void of that space horror genre that we were all missing and hoping for, and so people were hype. Oh wait, what's that? The game's still not out? Yeah. About that. Dead Space itself literally came back out of dormancy before this game actually released. And this isn't a one-time thing either. I have another example. So, you may know of a game called Amnesia: The Bunker, which just came out at the time of this recording. Really cool game, really scary, World War I bunker / trenches horror game. Fucking awesome premise. Something I bet you didn't know was that I covered a game with nearly this exact premise, 5 years ago. Now, unfortunately, I deleted this video because I thought it was a shit video, so I can't prove to you that I made it, but if you just look this game up on Google, you can see that it was announced over 5 years ago. I believe it was the first horror game I ever covered on this channel. It's still not out. And now, who the fuck is gonna give this game created by such a small team a chance when they can just play Amnesia: The Bunker and get the same niche with way better presentation and whatnot? That should put into perspective how unreliable these indie horror games can be. I understand these games are made by small teams, sometimes one person even, but I can't wait 5 years for a game to come out. By that point, my hype is all but disappeared. So it gets to the point where you're like, these games never come out, I'm tired of waiting, I'm tired of this happening, and when they do come out, they majorly underdeliver. I was so done with the indie horror game scene that I was like, you know what, I'm branching out. I had to, because my content was pointless. Why was I covering these games that will likely never play? It was actually driving me insane once I realized all of this. So all in all, I will still cover horror news, like the Silent Hill rumors that were coming out for a while, Resident Evil, stuff like that. I will still cover and include them to the horror game playlist. And honestly, if I see a really cool indie horror game, I may just cover it anyway if it captures my attention. For example, I covered a game called Wronged Us last year, and I thought it sounded cool enough that I would cover it despite all of this. So yeah. But yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much my story and the state of indie horror in my opinion. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.